The Constitutional Council dismisses the case of the Social Democratic Front and that of the CDU, political parties against the governing CPDM and elections Cameroon. The court's ruling took place in the nation's capital Yaoundé today. And also in this newscast, as Cameroon celebrates Tourism Day, today we shall be getting the view of an economist who is saying that the tourism potential across the national territory is highly underexploited. We'll tell you more in this edition of the news. Also ahead, we'll tell you about the situation in the two Anglophone regions of the country, precisely what it takes to travel between Manfi and Kumba in the southwest region of the country, that is in Manu. Those are headlines. Stay with us. We shall be right back. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching the primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. We thank you so much for joining us. The two post-senatorial election petitions filed by Njenje Valentine of the Social Democratic Front and Yumo Kupit Adamo of the CDU political party have been rejected by the Constitutional Council. That of Njenje Valentine was rejected on grounds that he is not competent to file any petition to the Constitutional Council, because only a candidate, a political party or a state agent can do so. He is not any of the above, according to the Constitutional Council. The Constitutional Council equally said that the petition tabled by Yumu Kupit Adamo of the Cameroon Democratic Union of Adamu Damjoya was not founded, that it is lacking convincing facts. And the Social Democratic Front councillor in Tiku, Njenje Valentine Klebe, took the petition to the Constitutional Council after observing what he called irregularities during the senatorial election in the southwest region of Cameroon. He is aware of the decision. He is aware that the decision of the Constitutional Council is final, but he called it a sham and insisted that several irregularities marred the 25th of March 2018 election in that part of the country. Let's hear him in the following excerpt.
They are the highest court in the land, and this decision, it is not susceptible to any appeal. So the most important thing is that the facts contained in our petition were so incontrovertible, cogent and watertight. Those facts remain stubborn. That what took place in the Southwest, as far as the senatorial elections were concerned, are a sham and a parody. I myself am an elector. On the eve of the election, I received a call that I should leave my residence and check into a hotel room in Limbe for my security from the administration of Ako Division. I was informed that March 25th will be doomsday, that it was going to be mayhem. There was, that they received information that they were going to attack councillors in their homes. All of us were quarantined and caged all over the region. That's what happened. And under those conditions, the elections cannot be free and fair. And the governor compounded the facts by forbidding the movement of persons all over the southwest region on the 25th of March. And the governor's order was contravened and flouted by a high place official of the CPDM, who took electors from Chang by helicopter to Menji to go and vote. We say we don't deserve that in Cameroon. That is not an election, and we stand by it.
And the petitioner told media men and women in the nation's capital Yaoundé today that the party actually endorsed his decision to file the case at the Constitutional Council against the CPDM and elections Cameroon. The council reviewed today that Njenje Valentine was not competent as a councillor to call for the cancellation of the senatorial election in the southwest region of Cameroon. He said, however, that giving up is not an option. Let's hear him once again in the following excerpt.
Since I had all the facts with me and I was a member of the Regional Supervisory Commission designated by the party designated me to represent its interests at the Regional Supervisory Commission, and I took my responsibility and I filed a petition. And I did not file the petition on my own frolic. I consulted with other third-party stalwarts, and they gave me the go-ahead. We have no regrets as far as that is concerned. And the only thing we have to say is that the struggle continues. The struggle for free, fair, and transparent elections, the struggle for a democratic Cameroon continues.
And what were the contents of the two petitions filed at the Constitutional Council by the Social Democratic Front Party calling for the cancellation of the senatorial election in the southwest region of Cameroon, and the CDU demanding the council to cancel the election in the west region? Babila Jonathan provides an answer in the following report.
Petitions tabled before the Constitutional Council few hours to the deadline for the submission of post-election petitions. The two requested the cancellation of the March 25th senatorial election in the west and southwest regions. In the southwest region, Municipal Councillor Njenje Valentine of the Social Democratic Front filed the first petition, March 28, demanding the cancellation of the senatorial election in the entire region for fraud in Libianem and attacks that marred the voting process in Bangem. The second petition that came later was that of Yumo Kupit Adamu, senatorial candidate of the Cameroon Democratic Union. It requested that the Constitutional Council announce election in the West region for violation of some provisions of the Electoral Code and the substitution of candidates without prior notification.
Equinoxe television has been able to evaluate the state of affairs in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. The observation that we met this weekend is that an end to the current socio-political crisis rocking the Anglophone regions of the country is still far-fetched. Houses have been set ablaze on a daily basis and conflict-hit localities gradually being deserted. We made the observation on our way to Douala through Manfi and Kumba, as we see in the following special story. Houses on fire in an area almost like a desert. This is what we discreetly captured in the Kumebafo in the Konya subdivision on the Kumba-Manfi highway. It is 4 p.m. Saturday, March 31st, and one would hardly believe that it is market day in this locality. All the doors are closed as we pass by this area in Konye, which is just 5 kilometers from a gendarmerie checkpoint in front of the Konye Council. No one was present to explain why locals are escaping, but security is beefed up in Konye after a gendarme officer was shot dead the previous day by unknown persons. The picture in Konye simply brought to mind what we have witnessed since the start of the journey as we entered Manyu Division, southwest region of Cameroon. On the about 104-kilometer route linking Bakwa, Supekumbe, Bakundum Faitokwe route, where construction works are still ongoing. Our vehicle had a breakdown in the middle of the forest in Bakebe due to the bad state of the route. The construction of this road network, financed by the African Development Fund, the Central African State Development Bank and the government of Cameroon had to be completed on December 2017, as announced by the Public Works Minister on July same year. Bulldozers and trucks are busy clearing and widening the road linking three divisions in the South-West region, Kupe Maningoba, Meme and Manu. Because of its untapped nature, the journey between Manfi to Kumba, which is normally supposed to last for 2 hours, now takes 4 hours and even more. It would only take the completion of the project to ease circulation along the Manfi-Kumba highway. Another point of attraction was in Tinto, where a tree lying across the road barred circulation of persons and vehicles. The road was only cleared several minutes before we continued the journey. It was at 8 p.m. after braving the odds of multiple checkpoints, bad roads on the Bamenda-Manfi-Kumba highway, that we arrived Douala, Cameroon's economic capital. And that is the journey from Manfi through Kumba to the economic capital Douala. As we travel to the Anglophone parts of Cameroon, we would of course be bringing to you other images on the situation on the ground. That's going to be in our subsequent newscast. An economic expert here in the economic capital Douala has decried what he called the neglect of the tourism sector in the country, which to him is rich in terms of potentials and resources. Mr. Edemo George said that it could contribute to the country's growth if fully exploited by the government of Cameroon. He was speaking on the sidelines of the 17th edition, or the 2018 edition of the Tourism Day that was commemorated across the national territory today. Let's hear him in the following excerpt.
Must underline that, first of all, we are not considering tourism as a very, very, very important sector in our economy. Normally, there is no other country in Africa having so big potentials in terms of tourism like Cameroon. So it's just a pity that we are neglecting this sector. Normally, if we put all efforts to support the sector, to organize it well, normally we can have probably 20 up to 40% of our receipt from tourism. You know, Egypt, Rwanda, Ethiopian or Kenya, who are getting a lot of money through that particular sector, are not better than Cameroon. We have to acknowledge that the sector is important. That is the first point. That we have all what tourists are looking for in Africa. We have sea, we have mountains, we have Sahara, we have a lot of animals, we have many parks, and I think we have all potential. So the first point is to acknowledge the potential of our country. The second point is to organize it. But to organize it, we have to put emphasis on budget. That means we have to affect at least 5% of our receipt to that particular sector.
An expert there taking a look at what the tourism sector can bring to Cameroon in terms of economic gain. Now in the southwest region of Cameroon, the second-class chief of Moyoka subdivision, Chief Kwane Aaron Mukete, has finally been laid to rest. Derek Jato reports that the burial took place in strict respect of the tradition. Let's have the details in the following report.
In strict respect of the traditional laws of this land, the Moyoka people laid to rest their ruler, Reverend Chief Kwane Aaron Mukete IV, the second-class chief of Moyoka subdivision. The 72-year-old ruler, who joined his ancestors recently, has been on the royal stool of the Moyoka people for 10 years. His peers say he was a peace crusader.
He was always ready to advise, to talk peace when there are problems.
Today he is gone at a time that his region is panting and yearning for peace. Peace that many say has been disappeared by the Anglophone crisis. Reason why Chief Njike Richard used the platform and called for calm in the subdivision.
I know the population of Moyoka are regretting to lose a man like this. And with the confidence, full assurance the Minister of Territorial Administration gave us, we are sure that things will take a different dimension in the nearest days ahead.
For Moyoka subdivision to see the light of day, Mr. Robert Mutumba, an elite of the area, advised that the person to succeed Chief Kwane should be developmental driven.
We need a leader who will be able to go outside and campaign and look for people, investors and companies who can bring Moyoka to the forefront of the limelight, not only economically but also politically. Politically, Moyoka has been behind for a long time when it comes to politics.
Mr. Otto De Richard William, the first Assistant Senior Divisional Officer for Fako Division, represented the government at the funeral ceremony in Moyoka.
And South African, where news out of Cameroon are mourning the death of anti-apartheid fighter Winnie Mandela, who died yesterday at the age of 81. Many have referred to the former wife of the late former president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, as a mother of the nation. Details with Ori News.
As mourners celebrated the life of anti-apartheid campaigner Winnie Madikizela Mandela outside her Soweto home, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa announced she would be honored with an official memorial service and state funeral.
And for security, Winnie Mandela had a great impact on the African continent. She's fondly remembered as a very gallant and brave person.
Madikizela Mandela led the 27-year campaign to secure her then-husband Nelson Mandela's release from jail. But allegations of extreme violence against those she suspected of being state informers tarnished her reputation.
A developing mutual respect.
And in sports, the National Games for Colleges and Teachers Training Institutions, dubbed the FENASCO A Games, has been launched in Gaoundéré. In Cameroon, participants have been told to respect fair play throughout the one-week competition. The Minister of Secondary Education, Dr. Nalova Lyonga, officially launched the games, as Manji Kangebro tells us in the following report.
The Dumbe Omar Stadium in Gaoundéré was filled to capacity by students from the 10 regions of the country to witness the launch of the 20th edition of the National Schools Game, dubbed FENASCO A for Colleges and Teachers Training Institutions. Placed under the auspices of the Secondary Education Minister, Professor Plin Nalova Lyonga told all participants to respect the rules of the game and distance themselves from cheating.
I urge you to showcase your best athletic performances in the spirit of sportsmanship.
One day into the competition, problems have already been encountered by some of the participants.
I'm feeling fine, but the place is too hot and heat. I'm feeling heat so much.
But they are confident about their final output.
Yes, I have the faith. God has given us the faith, so we win.
Problems linked to feeding have also been taken into consideration.
We did a wonderful thing of going right up to the kitchen. This is where the children will see that we mean business and taking care of them. And they have shown us that they have the spirit of togetherness. So we are together with our children. It's going fine.
For 1 week, the about 2,000 students participating at the games will have to tussle to win precious gold medals. The guest of honor for the 20th edition of the FENASCO A Games in Gaundere is 3 times world champions in boxing, Issa Hamza.
And that brings us to the end of this first segment of the news. Time for us to meet our guest tonight. Stay with us. We shall be right back. And on this Tourism Day, we are going to be receiving a filmmaker tonight on Talking Point, Mr. Ashu Egbe. Good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point.
Good evening, Mimi, and thanks for having me on Talking Point.
We are thanking you for coming. You did a documentary on elephant poaching, which portrays the cultural values of Cameroon. You use some key tourist sites or destinations in the country, in Kribi, south region of the country, here in the economic capital, Douala, and also in the south regional headquarters of Boya. What were your observations as we are today celebrating the Tourism Day?
The observations is actually like the access to the Campoman reserve in the south region. Access is not very easy. The road is, the network is not the best, you know, for country which normally should depend on tourism, because we are rich. We say Cameroon is Africa in miniature, which is true, because from vegetation to fauna, you have all of it in here in Cameroon. But the access, like I said, to get to Campoman was not easy. Initially, we also wanted to shoot around the park, which is near in the Nguti area, but we couldn't go there because of the situation in the southwest region. So we ended up just within the Fako area. You know, so Cameroon is rich, but we need to do more to have our touristic sites accessible.
Valorized.
Valorized.
If it could be difficult for you, a Cameroonian, one would imagine what it takes for possibly foreigners to get to some of these sites.
And it's not just even the access, because even on the net, I was going through somewhere and a tourist who wanted to know about Campoman didn't have enough information, because even on the internet, we don't have much information about these sites. It's even what we have is not updated regularly.
Especially on social media.
On social media,
when
indeed.
The government is talking so much about digital economy. We heard the Minister of Tourism, the Minister of Tourism today in the nation's capital, was indicating during the meeting with the Prime Minister of government, accepting that there is need to do a lot in the sector to valorize the tourism sector in the country, because it's going to boost the country's economy.
Yeah.
Yes, looking at the fact that it's practically difficult for those who are out of Cameroon to have access to some of these sites, on websites, even on social media, what is the impact on Cameroon?
The impact, like you said, is economic to start with, because if you look like countries like Kenya depend a lot on tourism, and they are investing on that, investing in the access roads, they're investing on the net, the internet. We are in the digital age where we need to, you cannot stay behind. Cameroon has to join the global village to be part of this and get our, which is our the touristic sites updated regularly. People need to know what is in there. Even Cameroonians should be able to take their holidays and go visit touristic sites in Cameroon. We shouldn't just only go to Europe or other parts of Africa. We should be able to, and I'm sure many Cameroonians don't do so because of lack of information, because of the inaccessibility to some of the sites.
Do you even have the impression that Cameroon has, because you visited some of these areas, like you said, in Kribi, in Douala, and in Boya, do you have the impression that Cameroon has a good number of tourist sites?
Yes, which could, if developed, could be a very economic income generating activity for the country. We have, like I said earlier, and it's said Cameroon like it's African miniature, and that's true. We have all the climate in Cameroon, the vegetation, the fauna. So we have all that, and it's now to valorize it, get it out there. We need to, Cameroonians like other people from out of Cameroon need to know what we have, you know, in there for them to be able to visit the sites.
And what does this mean to a country that actually has a ministry that is in charge of tourism?
It means the ministry has to do a bit more. I think the minister said it from the statement that you said, that they have to do more, and they know they have to do it. I happen to have had a meeting with the Minister of Forestry and Wildlife, and they think that also there's a lot to be done, and they saw even our film, which is actually a feature film, as coming timely to join in the government's effort. I think what the NGOs are also doing to fight against poaching.
Now, Mr. Ashu Egbe,
yes.
what actually promoted you, or what actually prompted you, rather,
right.
sorry,
Okay.
what prompted you to do a documentary film on elephant poaching?
I have been doing films on that, educate and entertain. I've done films on the health, on the child, girl child, and this time I wanted to do something on the environment. And this idea came to mind that maybe you could use a story to educate and entertain. The story actually is like, it started with this idea that if you were told that you don't have long to live, what will you do? So this main character of the film, Malay, is told by his doctor that he hasn't got long to live, but he has been, you know, brought into elephant poaching by a honorable, an MP of his area, who is into the network of elephant tusk trafficking. So we wanted to use this story to see how you can talk about endangered species, because it's not only elephant. In this particular case, we're talking about elephants, but also about endangered species. We want to talk about preserving the environment, the fauna, for future generation.
And how can Cameroon have access, Cameroonians at home and abroad have access to this movie?
Starting with what we are starting at, we're launching the film. We're having a film premiere this coming Friday. And after that, we're going to have the movie online. We're going digital, right? So you can, if you have it online, anybody in any part of the world can pay and download.
And with that regard, after watching the documentary or the film, Cameroonians will be able to know what the country has as far as tourism potentials are concerned. Thank you so much, Mr. Ashu Egbe, for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We hope to have you some other time again.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much to our viewers. It was equally a pleasure having with us in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinoxe Television. Wishing you a blessed stay in the company of our programs. Until we meet again, goodbye.
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte.